My name is Davis Wardwell. I'm 18
My
years
name's
old.
Lisa
My name is
Hannon.
Noah Blunt. I'm the student pastor here
Tree
at
Oakland.
Westside.
I'm actually Charlie's cousin.
David Thomas, here with Charlie.
Austin Gregory. Thank you for having
My
me.
name is Donovan
My name is
Jones.
Micah Aver. I'm a student at Lounge High
All
School.
right. Well, Mr. Charlie, you're going to lead us out here tonight on your Young Minds podcast.
Welcome to Young Men's Podcast, episode 199. Today, I'm just going to sit down with you and kind of talk about the episode a little bit. I don't want to tease everything or leak everything, but we're going to talk about just the first 199 episodes leading up to 200. Because if you're paying attention, this is going to be the 199 episode, so we are officially out of the hundreds and fixing to go into the 200s, which is a blessing from God in itself, that we're fixing to be in the 200s. That is fantastic, and I just can't believe, I really cannot believe the blessings that God has allowed me to, do with this podcast, as well with having the guest on this year, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But I just want to pray us in, and then we will get started. So, all right, dear Lord, I just want to thank you so much for our time together, God, and whoever's listening on the side of, whether they're in the car or if they're listening, in their earbuds or whatever, God, I just pray that they are, if they're in a situation right now, God, that you just, help them through that, bless them through it, God. And Lord, I just ask that you continue to allow me to speak, you speak through me, God, on this podcast, even if we're just talking about the future and reflecting, God. I just pray that you speak through me, Lord, and it is in your name I pray. Amen. Alrighty, so when it comes to episode 200 and also the future. So, and also we're looking back as well. So we'll start looking by looking back, and what a wild ride it has been for episode all the way to 1 to 199. I think about it and I'm like, a lot of podcasts, and I've said this 1,000 times, and I'll say we do talk about this in 200. They don't last that long. They, my podcast is considered old, really, by media standards, and there's plenty of podcasts that we've, I've even partnered with, right, or done an episode with, or whatever, and they just fell off, or they died off, things like that, and and that's no shade to any of those people, but it's just hard to keep that consistency, right? And so I am so thankful God has allowed me to keep that consistency going, and what a blessing that is. And just some of the interviews we've gotten to do, in these past 199 episodes, like with Davis, of course, it'll be his 7th time for 200. I'm going to tell you, he is on this episode for 200 as well, and it'll be his 7th time. It'll be Noah's. Noah's been on 6 times. Pastor Noah has been on 6 times, and just to have those people recurring and coming back and talking and wanting to share, their experience with Jesus has shown through their life every time, and to bring something new to the table. That's just to name a few. But some of the new faces, Sarah Wardwell's to name one, Kelly Yates, Darcy Gunter, right, and and then of course Tripp and his friends, Jake Reed and Austin Spray and Henderson Lincoln and Jack Steen, of course, there's some of the new faces. And what's so great about this year, I think, in particular, compared to the other years, is that, we've been able to really spread outward, which is really good. I love my Northside people, and I will still continue to interview more Northside people. However, I think spreading outward and expanding does help, and and plus the conversations are refreshing to me, and I hope they're refreshing to you as well as the listener, that you get something different out of them, and but the conversations have been really, really good this year, and just to reflect back on the past couple years, right? Donovan and Cody, we all were all together, and we've kind of moved. Not everybody's moved on, but now it used to be the 6 of us. Now it's just me and Donovan doing podcasting continuously, and again, we know that it can be super hard to keep that consistency going, but I just pray that me and Donovan continue to do that. And if you would be praying for me and Donovan both on that, and go check out his channel. It's called Act Podcast if you've not checked it out before. Make sure to subscribe to it. But we I'm so thankful for these like few years that I've been able to do this. And I mean, to say that I've been able to do it for years, that's a cool thing in itself, right? To just be able to do this podcast for this long. And I just thank you so much for that. And, just thinking about if you, and if you're this is the first episode you're hearing of mine. We do a lot more interview style podcasts, but I just wanted to do this reflection. But I hope you stick around. And, but to move on to 200 itself, I won't really go into details of what you can expect too much, but other than, I'll say this: it was so good that you didn't even need me in the room, really. You could have just had, if I gave them the questions ahead of time, which I had, if I didn't even, if somebody would just signal them, hey, go to the next one, they could have just easily, all these guests, they could have easily just done it themselves and just rocked it, right? The info they had said was fantastic. The people that were there, they jived all together, and it was just really, really good. The only thing I will say is that we had some, at least on my side, so when I spoke into the mics, we had some audio problems. I'm just being transparent. But that's okay, with the recording, because here's the deal. I'm not the main focus of this. I don't even want you to focus on me. I want you to focus on two things. Three things. Jesus, how Jesus works in people's lives. And then 3, focus on all these guests that came in, because they came in, early on a Saturday morning to sit down and record this episode with me. And what a fantastic episode it was. I just can't, fathom how amazing it was. But if you would just be praying for that it reaches the right people. That's our goal, especially with it being such a bigger episode. It's also filmed as well, so make sure you're watching it on YouTube and Spotify. And if you're not subscribed to those areas like YouTube and Spotify and Apple, make sure to, if you don't mind, go and leave a review on Apple and Spotify, and also subscribe on YouTube. And I promise you, it's free, so you're not spending anything if you want to do that. If you want to see more of the Young Minds podcast. But I just cannot believe that, because I will say, I was planning this episode, a year and a half. Like, it's been that long, and the amount of people that I've had to, the original plan of guests was not who you see in next week's episode. In fact, there's 3 of the original, and then the rest are were new people that I put in. Which, again, to those people that, that came in and, helped me fill those gaps, thank you so much. Thank you for that. And you know who you are. I just don't want to say the names because I don't want to leak it. But thank you so much for that. And for the people that have been praying for it, I am so grateful for you. And I should give a shout out also to my amazing mom. She did behind the scenes video and also was just there to support and help me get things ready for 200 on the day, as well as Gavin McCracken. He helped with photos as always, and he did a phenomenal job. And also just want to say, thank you to the Bellingers, Tanner and Avery, for helping me with the sound and the cameras as well. And also I want to quick shout out to their dad, Terry Bellinger. He helped them set up the live stream, or the ghost live streamer, if you will, for the episode itself, so we could record it. And I just pray that you learn something from these people, that on this episode, because I surely did. Had a blast. We had so much fun. And if one person gets something out of this, that's all that matters. Because there's been, the devil's been trying to get through my head, because I've been putting out we've got a lot of promo and everything ready to go and post and everything. And as of right now, the little bit of promo that we've had that I've been posting, it's not it's not getting the views or whatever that I want it to get, right? From a flesh standpoint, I understand where my brain is man, I put all this effort in, whatever, it's not going where I want it to go. From a godly standpoint, that's not how I need to think, and I'm aware of that. And so again, just be praying for me on that, to continue to work through that. But, whatever happens with this episode, I know that God's going to bring the right people to it, despite if it's one person or if it's 1,000 people, right? we don't know. We don't know what God's going to do with it. I just know that it was fun. It was fantastic. And all the people, you're going to love how the laughter and the fun times that we had. And, you know, I pray that you stick around to the very end, because we got credits there as well. And also just you know, something to, you know, if you've seen my Sandy's House video that I did with them, you know, you'll hear the donation total in the episode itself, but also at the end, you'll get to see something for my relatives that I, you know, dedicated the episode to. So if you would stick around for that, and then just leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the episode and stuff like that, because this is the first time I've done an episode like this, and so I would just really appreciate it if you know, on next week's episode, just, you know, interact with it, because I am curious about how it's going to be received, and, you know, because it would help me move forward in the future. And speaking of, you know, for moving forward into the future of the podcast, one of the things I want to do, and you're probably thinking, since I'm about to say this, you're probably thinking you're crazy because you sound fantastic right now with the audio, is, and yes, so I'm using this Yeti mic right now just to film this solo episode, so the audio sounds pretty good. However, I want to, you know, that's one of the things that I am trying to do, is invest a little bit of, you know, a little bit of money, right, to get some better mics for interviews. And I'm talking really high-end quality stuff, like some Rodecaster stuff and all that. So if you would, again, I know I say it a lot, but just please be praying for that as well, that, you know, we can get that worked out and that everything works like it's supposed to. And also for new guests that are coming, you know, because I don't know who's going to be 201 yet. I have no idea. And, you know, and that's, you know, it's a little scary, but also at the same time, it's okay, because I know God's going to work it out. So just be praying for new guests as well, and for new microphones and equipment. You know, and I would also, you know, just be praying for growth, right? I'm praying for growth, and reason being is just because I can see myself doing this, you know, as, I really want to go all in on this. I really do. And, you know, the way I can do that is with your help, right? And, I say this in episode 200, but, you know, I kind of say it jokingly a little bit, but also it is true. You know, it's getting to the point where Young Minds we're doing it a lot more, right? And it's getting kind of big, like, in terms of, like, for me to just run it, right? And, I mean, sure, I couldn't pay anybody right now, but I would love to have a team of some sort, even if it was small, to help me out with some things. And, you know, so if you're interested in that, you know, just, hey, message me or drop a comment, whatever, you know. I just want to put that out there. And if not, that's okay. But, you know, the main thing you can do, if you don't know if you can't financially help, if you can't join the team, whatever, pray. Like, that's one of the biggest things you can do for me, is pray, right? Because you know, with Young Minds, the devil's always knocking at my door with spiritual warfare, especially in the week leading up to recording 200. Golly, it was terrible. I'll just be transparent there. It was really awful. And, you know, but the devil did not win. We recorded the episode, and it was fantastic. It was great. And, you know, I just say all that to, you know, to say thank you, for listening to my voice and to all the guests up until this point. And, you know, if you want to help, or suggestions that you may have, whatever, you know, reach out. I'm all for it, because here's the deal. You know, one of the things that John Eager, he said, that really stuck out to me, and I've said this in the last few episodes, is, if you don't evolve, you will die. And, you know, we were talking about, like, churches, right, in the context, but it's the same with any ministry, right? And if we don't evolve this thing, change some things up, you know, with, like, and again, that's, you know, like what I'm doing with the mics and the audio situation, right? But if you don't change things up and, you know, mix things up a bit, the ministry will die, right? And we don't want that, I tell you, because God is far from done with his ministry, I can tell you. Because the way that he's already worked in this ministry, and the people that I've been able to interview and sit down with, never would have thought in a million years. I mean, and it is just so fantastic. And I'm just so thankful to be able to do this. I, you know, never thought that I'd be sitting here talking to, I mean, right now I'm talking to a wall, but whoever I'm talking to in your ears, in your car, whatever, you know, I'm thankful for you. And you know, I'm thankful for every listener, every single person that says a kind word, or just, you know, has bought a shirt, whatever. You know, I'm just so thankful. And also, another thing I would love, if you would love to like to look at it, there's a website now. And, I'm really bad about plugging that. I'm sorry about that. I really am. There's been a website in the past, but there was an even better one that Baines Blanton, he designed for me, my best friend. And let me tell you, it's got a lot of personality to it, and it looks really, really good. So if you would, go check that out. And all my socials and everything are also on the YouTube channel as well. But, just wrapping up, I'm so thankful for 199 episodes, and I'm so excited to see who God's going to put in the path for Young Minds for the 200s. We never know. And really, realistically, we only have, I think, about maybe 20 more episodes in this year, and 2026 is done, which is crazy to fathom. I can't fathom that. And I just thank you so much for the support and everything. And again, if you would, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment, things like that. I'm gonna try to get better about saying that. But again, thank you so much for everything, and I'll pray us out, and then we will be out of here. Alrighty. Dear Lord, I just want to thank you so much for our time together, God. For me or whoever's sitting on the other side of maybe in their car or their earbuds, whatever it may be, God. I just thank you so much for them. And Lord, I just thank you so much for the Young Minds podcast and what it's done for me and blessed me in a variety of ways to sit down with people every week or multiple times a week with people to hear their stories, God. And Lord, I just thank you so much for the people that have helped me and supported me through it, Lord. And it is in your name I pray. Amen. All right, guys. Well, make sure to tune in to episode 200. That will come out next week. And remember, it is filmed, so, turn on your notifications, subscribe, do all the things, right? And make sure to watch your social media for any promo that has been dropping. But anyway, I will see you next week. With another episode of the Young Minds podcast coming to a close, I just want to remind you that you are never alone and faith is action. So let's get out there.